welcome back. It's Neale here, and this week we're looking at decentralization and transfer pricing. In reality, this is really where the big boys are taken over. This is for large organizations where you got lots and lots of people, and you have to start to divisionalize different roles, different functions in the organization. And so this is what we mean by decentralization. We're decentralizing decision making to people lower in the organization. And when you get large enough, then transfer pricing issues come to the fore. But let me try and make it easier for you to understand in the following 4 pictures. Here we have 4 big ideas that we're going to cover here. The first one is the brain. You know the brain, it's working for you all the time. The second one, we've got Ken Lay here. The late Ken Lay has passed away, but he was part of the Enron scandal and he was convicted for hundreds of years of term in prison. But that was to represent another aspect we're going to go through today. And the third big idea is this beautiful car. It's a French Peugeot. You know, especially if you watch The Mentalist, he drives one of these around. And the fourth one is this juggling of just multiple roles, multiple objectives for why you use in transfer pricing. So what have these 4 pictures got to do with decentralization and transfer pricing? Let me give you the concepts. The brain represents knowledge transfer costs. And knowledge transfer costs are basically opportunity costs that you lose for when you slow down the transfer of knowledge between generation of knowledge and the decisions that need to be made. So for example, if there's only one person in a big organization that makes all the decisions, then it takes longer for the salespeople to revert back to the decision maker of a change in market conditions that may affect pricing, it may affect marketing, it may affect the channel, that may affect customer service, customer feedback. And then the company takes longer to respond, and then you may lose new sales. You may lose the opportunity that a competitor suddenly has come in for a lower price point. You are slow to respond because that information needs to get back to a decision maker in the organization. Transferring of that knowledge costs money because it takes time, you see. So therefore, knowledge transfer costs is basically the cost of time of transmitting information for decision making, and also it's the cost of not allowing people that have the expertise or who are on the front line to make the right decisions that benefit the company. So knowledge transfer costs get larger and larger and larger as an organization gets larger and larger and larger, okay? And it's largely the impetus for why we want to decentralize. We want to give more authority to people on the front line so they can make fast decisions about the pricing, about which customer to serve, about how to actually deal with an angry customer. All these things that need to happen fast, okay? Rather than waiting for a decision to be made in head office that may come back in a week later or 2 weeks later, and it's too late. The customer's gone, you've lost the customer, you've lost your reputation, competitors have moved in. This is what we mean by knowledge transfer costs. The opportunity costs associated with lost time and the opportunity costs associated with not giving authority to the people that really are best to make that decision, okay? There's a knowledge transfer costs, yes. The second picture here is Ken Lay. And this is about agency costs. As soon as you start to give more authority to people on the front line, to managers in other countries, because you want to minimize knowledge transfer costs, guess what? Now you have an agency cost problem. And that's when the manager may not act in the best interests of you, the organization boss or the organization's owner, the shareholders. They may diddle the till, they may do some cash items, they may do something that is not in the best interests of the company, that may affect the reputation of the company. This is what we mean by agency costs. So you always got this balance. You give authority to people to minimize your knowledge transfer costs, but at the same time you're giving authority, you're actually entrusting them to make decisions on your behalf. Now you create agency costs. So knowledge transfer costs go down and agency costs go up. So how do you redress this balance? Well, don't give authority at all, and agency costs go down, knowledge transfer costs go up, but your brain has information overload. Suddenly you cannot make all the decisions. You don't have time to make all the decisions for your organization, all right? You need people to help you, you see? So you really don't want that situation where knowledge transfer costs very high and agency costs very low. You're trying to look for a balance, right? Where you don't want to have too much agency costs and you don't want to do everything so knowledge transfer costs are zero. That means you've delegated everything. You still got to make some decisions, all right? So we're looking for that balance between knowledge transfer costs and agency costs. Yes, yes, yes. All right, what about the third picture here? This is the Peugeot, and the great thing about this Peugeot is it's one of the few cars in the world where you can take one of the rear wheels off and you can still drive the car around. And I just wanted to emphasize the point of a balance between three wheels, or the balance between the three-legged stool. And that is the balance between decentralization, okay, measurement. You're measuring the agent's actions because you've delegated some authority to a manager. Now you want to measure their behavior and actions. And number three, you need to incentivize them, okay? Incentivize them. That is, give them a bonus if they get the outputs that you have set for them to achieve, you see? And it's a balance of these three things: delegating, measurement, and incentives. There you go. So that's the third picture. Now the fourth picture is all about transfer pricing is a juggling act. It's a juggling act between performance evaluation. It's a juggling act between maintaining divisional authority, okay? And it's a juggling act between trying to achieve some goal congruence, okay? And so not all these objectives can be achieved at the same time with one transfer price. So to what extent do you allow divisions to set their own transfer prices? To what extent do you actually intervene as the headquarters and say, this is the transfer price you need to set? All right. So in this seminar of decentralization and transfer pricing, we've got these four big ideas floating around: knowledge transfer costs, agency costs, okay, we've got the balance of decentralization, measurement, and incentives. We've got to try and have balance there. And finally, we've got to find out what are the dominant objectives that we're trying to achieve with our transfer pricing strategy. Yes. So there you go. These are the big ideas for this course. Welcome again to decentralization and transfer pricing. Thank you.